You're right, my name's Ash, and this is Crack Minis, and today I'm going to be making something big. I've been working on the concept for this for a little while, and I've been sharing it on my community posts. So, if you've been checking those out, hopefully you enjoy this. So today I'm making Dig Dig. Like I said in the intro there, I have been making posts about him in my community page. Well, I thought it was time to build him. So let's get started. It took me a while to find the parts for this. Funnily enough, I happened upon this just randomly. I figured it'd make a decent base for me to start. Because it's filled with just great little parts that I can probably get away with using as terrain later on in other builds. So wasn't a penny wasted with this. And it had these little tiny screws in it, which I thought were adorable. But I'm going to have to use them for something. Mech shop or a garage or scientist layer or something like that. But for now, all I really need are the main body, the tail, and the feet. To start, I put the tail where the head's supposed to go, so that I had an overarching back. Because I want it to have sort of a chunky back, and then thin in the middle, going down to big massive feet. After I did that, I made shoulders out of beads and tires, so I could slot the arms in later on. And for the legs, I couldn't do that because it would have messed with my profile, so I opted for drilling through it with a Dremel, and then sliding a wire in and bending that to shape. There he is standing, all his glory. He's pretty tall. I'd say he's about 5 28mm models tall, or 1.5 builder's cups. It's a terrible unit of measurement, but it's the only thing I've got to hand. I threaded on more beads just to mark where the knees were going to be, so I didn't end up having to look all goofy with one leg oddly proportioned to the other. I wanted to fill in these blank sides. I knew I was probably not going to see them later on after the model's finished, but I thought I might as well stick them in there just in case anyone has a wandering eye catches that little detail. And I filled them with crafting gold, the plastic lollipop stick. I managed to find some in one of my bits boxes, which was pretty cool to be fair, because I forgot I had them. I cut those to size and popped them in. This left me with a little gap at the front, so what I did was I got some wire and I put some beads on it to make it look like mechanical pieces, and just stuck those in there as well. Originally the plan for this was for me to use conduit tubing on the legs and then just cover them in EVA foam. I did that, but the more I looked at it, the more I wanted to add more stuff to it. And I did that with the rest of the body as well, because I was going to keep it simple. And then I thought, you know what, no. I just kept rooting through the bits box and adding more pieces on and more pieces on. The thing's made from garden wire and chunks of old tanks that I've chopped up and made to size, bits of robo gear that I had lying around, and hair curlers. Those were really good, to be fair. Filled out a lot of this. I'm going to talk about the face. So the face that is on there now isn't the original face. The other one that I made looked super goofy. I used one of the original eyes from the dinosaur, which was just oddly sized compared to the bead I'd used on the other side. And then I wrapped it all in like EVA foam and bits of plastic card. I just wasn't happy with how it looked in the end, so I changed that over off camera. But because I've got it in here, I wanted to show you what I had, which was just this goofy mess with one eye bigger than the other. And once I'd done all that stuff, I got the EVA foam out. Now, EVA foam, as per usual, the absolute powerhouse that it is, I hammered that on pretty much every inch of this. And to be fair, it's come out looking pretty good, and I'm well happy with it. After I did all the EVA foam, I fixed that head, as you can see here. I added some ridge beads along the spine, and then got to work on the arms. The arms are pretty much the same as what I did with the legs. Started off with a wire, threaded on a bead into the middle, I started bulking them out with conduit and EVA foam. Then another layer of conduit. Then hair curlers, covered in more EVA foam. Sort of like a craft lasagna. After that was all done, I built the hands. I did bulk them out a little bit extra off camera. You'll see when I start applying beads, but in the meantime I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. I'll be back in a minute.
As long as humans have walked this new world, Dig Dig has been a threat. Undermining buildings, displacing whole towns of people, it seems as if it's searching for something. The natives speak of it joyfully, chanting dig, 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 dig when they hear news of its attacks. Its only interest seems to be humans and other invasive species, or interlopers rather, on this new world. It appears to operate everywhere and nowhere all at once, unless there's more than one. The age of this beast is unknown, but the terror it causes is known to all. Those who have experienced it, and those who have yet to. Fear. They fear its arrival. They fear that in the night their home will fall into a hole, cavernous. They will be lost forever.
Okay, that ran on a little bit long, so we got straight into painting. I base coated it blue, literally because it's the only spray can I had that had a decent amount in it. Because this took a couple coats to get it perfect, just because of all the little nooks and crannies and stuff like that. And then I painted over the top of that with, I think, a burnt sienna, although I'm not 100% sure. It might be a burnt umber, but it does look a bit light to be a burnt sienna. And then after I did that, I took out a little sponge and I stippled on some heavy, very shiny silver from Vallejo. For the colours on this, I started off with grey. I used it before in one of my other builds, and I wanted to try again and see if I'd improved with my techniques or not. So I picked out individual panels and painted those, and some of the larger sections, because I wanted it to have been originally an all grey monster, like what I've drawn in my book. I'll show you that at the end. When applying the paint, I used the scratch bashing technique, which is don't touch the edges. This let me keep a lot of the browns and the silvers, and even some of those blues, which I didn't paint it over with, the silvers were still showing through, which helped me a lot with the shadows. As a secondary colour, I chose Void Shield Blue from Army Painter. I wanted something that contrasted heavily against the browns and the white and the greys. I knew that the wash that I used was going to tamp down that brightness, but I still wanted the contrast against those more muted tones. Again, I applied the blue exactly the same way I did the grey, on separate panels, evenly spaced around the model, using again the scratch bashing technique, don't touch the edges, leaving as much of that brown and silver showing as I could without it. What I also did, which I didn't show very well in this video I don't think, is I highlighted by going over with a slightly lighter colour over the top of each one after the base coat. So I mixed in a little bit of white and then just made them brighter again, just in the centres of each panel. It was just to help me after I applied the wash, just so it had a more realistic look. After the blue I added some red. This is because just having the blue and the grey wasn't working for me. I needed an extra colour in there just to vary it up a bit. Also I had a lot of empty panels because I wanted to space it out evenly. And for the pipes I used Poisonous Cloud from Army Painter. I wanted it to put that splash of green in that I like, but it's almost a yellow once it's applied, which was good. So I'm not too far off using me greens and reds and blues, just all the colours that I like to stick to. Just varying the shades. And then it's time to add the rust. So I got my sponge out again. I got some Rust Effect from Vallejo, dabbed it on there. and then I sparingly stippled it onto areas where I thought rust might accumulate on the model, if it was a real thing. It's just, I didn't want to do too much, so I stuck to the edges of different places. I still wanted to keep as much of that silver there as I could, as well as the browns, but also give the effect like that rust is aged in layers as more steel's been applied to its body. So the underside's super old, whereas the newer topper ones have only just started to rust. After I did that, I started washing it. I'm starting to think my wash is more of a stain than a wash, because I'm having to rub it off and loads of stain on, so I think it's more of a stain. But as always, ink, paint, more ink, lay away a thinner, water, double washing up liquid. Recipe doesn't change, but the quantities do, so I don't know exactly what they are now. I threw some more of that blue back on the eyes and added some white off camera. And for the base, I just dry brushed it brown over that blue to give it like a clay effect, and stuck on some little patches of grass here and there. That helped. Like I said, I found them in my bits box, along with those plastic tubes. Crafting gold. So, here's the end of the video. Pretty happy with the way it's turned out. I want to show you this as well. It is all painted in there. Looks absolutely nothing like what I've made, but that's what concept art's for. Ignore this guy. He might be showing up in another video. I'm not quite sure yet, but I'm not going to show you too long. I don't want you to read the story on it. Anyway, it's time for the glam shots. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Sorry, like and subscribe. Yeah. Have a nice night. Or day. Depends when you're watching it.